welcome everyone. I welcome you to the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority meeting of the 24th of November 2023. First is acknowledgement of country. Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the lands where we work and live. Council celebrates the diversity of Aboriginal peoples and their ongoing cultures and connections to the lands and waters of the New South Wales Central Tablelands. I advise members and the public that the proceedings of this meeting, other than any confidential matters, will be recorded and made publicly available on the council website. Persons attending the meeting should refrain from making any defamatory statements. Item 1 is apologies. I know we have an apology from Andrew Smith. Are there any other apologies? Could I have a move to accept the apology, please? Member Leslie and Member Reynolds. All those in favour of accepting the apology of Andrew Smith? Thank you. Disclosure of interest. Council members are reminded of their obligations under the Council's Code of Conduct to disclose and appropriately manage conflicts of interest. If any member has any declaration of interest, whether pecuniary or non-pecuniary, they should make that declaration now. Are there any declarations of pecuniary or non-pecuniary interest? No declarations. Item 3.1 is the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the 11th of August 2023. The recommendation is that Council adopts the minutes of the meeting of the 11th of August 2023. Could I have a mover, please? Member Watt and Member Leslie. Thank you. Any discussion on those minutes? All in favour of accepting the minutes? Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. We go to item 3.2, which is the confirmation of the minutes of the extraordinary meeting held the 15th of September 2023. The recommendation is that Council adopt the minutes of the extraordinary meeting of the Upper Macquarie County Council held at 7 Lee Street, Kelso at 2 p.m. on the 15th of September 2023. Can I have a mover, please? Member O'Connor and Member Leslie. Thank you. Any matters arising from the extraordinary meeting?
Going to raise one.
Yes.
I discovered we're one of only 12 councils that the Audit Office is going to take over. A lot of the rest of them have actually gone back out to tender for talking to my council's auditor earlier this week.
And I found out that that's because they thought that our finances are linked to Bathurst Regionals.
Also, Bathurst gone to
the
Auditor General as well.
Yep. They thought that this was demonstrably linked somehow, but just because Leanne did both.
Right. Okay. Any other matters?
Well, there's a question on that. Should we advise the auditors that we're not linked to Bathurst?
Determination. I don't know that's going to matter.
Were you supposing that, Ben?
No, I heard that from Leanne. Yeah.
Oh, he answered that.
Yeah.
But it's going to cost us more, isn't it?
Well, we don't know that. Ask the general manager. They were a bit obtuse on the costing, weren't they?
They didn't provide costs. Which they use.
Maybe we'll hold it back years. If we know what the cost is, maybe we should send a email saying the cost for our audit is this year with this, and we assume that the audit office will charge no more than that for 2023-24.
And we'll clarify the Bathurst relationship.
Yeah, you could.
And at least noted for discussion for 1 year's time to point out, thank you very much, but you cost us more, and we got the same result.
Absolutely, Member Leslie. That's why I think it's good that if we send an email saying this is what it was, we expect it to be,
No, but we need to keep the process going. That's right.
All right. Any other matters rising? All those in favour of the meeting of the extraordinary meeting of the 15th of September? Thank you. Unanimous. Matters in progress. Item 4. The recommendation is that Council closes the matter strategic road spray rotation. Before I put this, my only question is, I think there's still an outstanding issue of coming to an agreement with forestry and how that's going to be dealt with. So to that extent, should it remain open for that purpose of blending them into this arrangement?
Mr Chairman, could I make the forestry issue a standalone issue?
If you could, if it's raised, if we raise it, I'm happy with that. So at the next meeting.
For the forestry.
Yep.
And I'd just like to close the road one. The councils are all signed up and we're now into the program, so I'd like to start just the routine reporting on the program.
All right, yes, and if we raise that in the next minutes as a, next meeting as a matter in progress, please.
Yes.
All right, any other discussion? Well, I've asked for a mover. Member Reynolds, you moving it? Or you've got a comment?
I've got a comment, but I'll move it to, we should be
Second,
discussing.
please. Member O'Connor. All right, Member Reynolds, you have.
So I was just going to highlight with regard to road spraying that in Blaney Shire, we've been able to get further funding for a 3-year program between Cadia and Flies Creek Wind Farm to actually fund the sticky nightshade program. So Blaney Council passed earlier this week that they would fund through the voluntary planning agreement with the Flies Creek Wind Farm, the $10,000 a year would be funded for the next 3 years for that program. So this is on top of the strategic, but it is also strategic in trying to target sticky nightshade and other priority weeds on about 110 to 120 kilometres of road around the Cadia area, Penuara, Urumban, sort of area down to Mandurama and across the Flies Creek Wind Farm.
So is that bond kicking can as well?
No, it's just purely within Blaney Shire, so within the Central Tablelands Weeds Authority area, about 120 kilometres.
Well, thanks very much. You've noted that, and
Yes,
you know the appropriate context for engaging with that.
Chris has been involved in those discussions and the planning of that, and I think what Blaney Council has done in approaching us to use those funds, that's a great assistance to the roadside program.
No, I agree. Thank you. Any other issues and matters in progress, which is the matter in progress currently is going to be closed out? All right, all in favour of that being closed out? Thank you. The next one's the chairman's minute, the annual report. I think we're up to put the annual report in, isn't it? What's the timing on that? If I can, just before we put it.
The annual report is meant to be able to be published by the end of November. So we're getting terribly close. Work is underway, but it wasn't thorough enough forward to present anything here today.
I've got to do my report too.
Correct. And we've done the drafting of it, so Andrew, you'll be able to see the report in councillors next week. And then we're asking you here for consideration about how we're going to deal with that, about the adoption of it without calling any meeting. Now, I don't know whether the annual report has to actually be resolved by the council and adopted by the council.
It does.
It does.
Through the Act. It does.
Yeah, it does. Can we do it?
Flying minute,
We couldn't, okay.
Can we do a
flying minute.
by circulated minutes? So I think we need to put that in the recommendation. So, if I could work on this recommendation for a minute. So the council is advised that the annual report will be circulated separately for each member to provide comment on and confirmation that they are in agreement with it. And sent back to the general manager by 30th November. Yep. 30th November 23. So it'll only give us a short period to review it. So that was a comment, Lisa, not a. Any other views on that recommendation?
Could I suggest that it's submitted to?
Oh, that it's submitted. Do we submit it and we put it on public exhibition? Right. Following the general manager's receipt of comments and confirmation from members that this would be point 2, that the annual report be submitted to, who's it go to the government? Local government and put on public and placed on public exhibition for the required time frame.
do we need to publish the?
They're not exhibited, they just go up as a standard.
Post it to the website.
Oh, we posted,
Standard
all right, we'll
document.
change the wording to say posted to the website.
Yep.
Sorry, Bruce.
Question, Mr. Chairman. That process, without going to a meeting is obviously, meets the legislation.
I think as long as they put most allow for circular resolution that goes around to each member.
My understanding is that as long as we give you the required time and we're resolving it here now to undertake those steps.
Okay.
I can't, we can't just surprise you with those and say, here's a resolution I'd like you to consider.
So with
So
that,
from there, you've got to agree that that's the process. Otherwise, you would disagree and we'd have to convene a meeting by the 30th of November to have a look at the annual report.
makes sense, thanks.
And I think might have been something partly introduced in COVID too. Might not have been right, okay. So if we're happy with that process, maybe Lisa, could you read those two recommendations back?
Yes, but I'm not sure if I
That's all right.
as accurately. So council be advised the annual report be circulated separately for each member to provide comment on and approval. And then I had number 2 was annual report. So this is where I'm not sure if I got it right.
Pending approval.
Annual report should be submitted to Office of Local Government and uploaded to website for the public. And then
No, just take it, upload it to website,
and then
full
it's
stop.
uploaded to website.
And the first one, could you say by 30th of November?
Oh, yeah,
Because we have to put it, upload and submit it by 30th of November.
yeah, that's right.
The second one should be as.
And maybe in the first one, you do need to say that if a member does not agree with the annual report, that a meeting, an extraordinary meeting would be called.
Yes, and if you recall the report, it provides each of the actions in the delivery program and the operating plan and achievement of those. And we use the words achieved, ongoing, etc. So what we're asking you to do is to either agree or disagree with the outcome.
So, not part of the recommendation, but noting today's the 24th, do we know when, noting that I have to do a section on it?
We've made a start. I suggest you must really see it next Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning. So you have it for a couple of days before you ask you to respond. Now, the other, if we don't get a response by the due date, does that mean an affirmative response?
What you're doing is Sir Thomas More and Amanda Wall season or something?
No, I just wondered how many times we're going to chase it, that's all.
Well, can I ask members to be vigilant, please get a response back to the General Manager. Sure. Because we do not really want to have to rely on silence. Pen, it's useless. Have you broken the wire? Yes. We'll read it. All right. So I'll move that amended resolution, a recommendation. Can I have a second, please? Number one, thank you. Any further discussion on that, the recommendation to pass? All in favour? Aye. Thank you. Governance program item 6. Disclosure of councils and designated persons return. The recommendation is council notes that all required disclosure returns by staff and members have been tabled at this meeting. Is that correct? That's correct. Thank you, Member Reynolds. Seconded. Member Fry. Any discussion on this? All in favour? Thank you. 6.1.2 is the ARIC minutes of February 23. Council notes the minutes of the ARIC from the 16th of February 23. Can I have a mover, please? Member Fry. Seconder. Member O'Connor. Any discussion on this? Member Reynolds, you're present on the ARIC. Would you mind us maybe comment on this, please?
I'll provide an explanation, Mr. Chair. So while we're doing the 16th of February, we've just had the last ARIC meeting earlier this week on Wednesday at lunchtime. And discussion when we should be actually presenting the minutes. So we're going to seek clarification and to see whether it would have been too quick, this meeting that's just gone on. So there's been 2 meetings since these minutes. That whether once the chair approves and the members of ARIC, being 3, approve the minutes that they're submitted to the council. Otherwise, we wait 3 months till the next ARIC. And if it's earlier, like it was this week before the council meeting, then it can be 2 ARICs behind meetings, whereas I think they need to be given at the time. But anyway, we're going to seek clarification. So the February meeting, we should have the ARIC meeting we've just had. So we'll catch up 2 lots of minutes, we hope, to then be reasonably current.
So did anything, what was discussed at the ARIC meeting yesterday, was it, or the day before?
I'll say very little, without going into too much depth. The ARIC chair expressed a bit of concern that there wasn't much presented at all. That's all I'll say. This is public forum.
Okay,
Like,
yes, member listen.
does seem pointless having an ARIC if recommendations from a committee in February aren't dealt with until November.
That's right, I think that's what member.
Yeah, sure.
I concur.
Yeah, I think.
But therefore, therefore,
The process needs to change, yes.
therefore, the process should be not asking about the process, just should be, just that they're dealt with as soon as they're available.
I concur.
So how do we address that? Member Reynolds, are you going to address?
He does do it.
General manager addressing it, or how's it being addressed?
Well, it's very difficult to address because we share an ARIC with another 2 councils. And trying to arrange the timing of those meetings that fit within the timing of each of the 3 councils is very, very difficult. And we've found ourselves sort of on the worst situation where there's a long gap between an ARIC meeting and the adoption of those minutes. So I think what Bruce has said is that we're making inquiries about the powers of ARIC to actually proceed with some of that business and just report that to the council. But my understanding is ARIC is a committee of the council.
So the one before this week was on the 25th of May 23, but we don't have those minutes, do we?
Well, they only just got adopted at this last meeting.
Yeah, sorry, but it seems to me that they shouldn't be adopted. We should be getting the draft minutes.
Well, normally a council get the
So
draft
that-
minutes.
So that,
Correct, that's
and
correct.
how often
Yeah,
is there substantial changes between draft minutes and adopted minutes? And as a council, we need to be able to respond to the draft minutes, i.e. the substantive matters that arise, as soon as practicable.
You're absolutely right. I know everyone gets the draft minutes and on the ARIC and it goes back and I think it's adopted.
No, make a suggestion.
It doesn't stop councils, sorry, it doesn't stop general councils from acting on resolutions carried at a council meeting for a whole month until those minutes are adopted at the subsequent meeting.
All right, can I?
So I've got some more information.
Sorry, can I ask Lisa to comment first? And then
It would be very similar to what Councillor Reynolds is about to comment on, but my suggestion would be that we go to the chair of the ARIC and request that when the minutes are done, so the minutes that I try to get the minutes done within the first week of having that ARIC meeting, and if they're approved on circulation of the ARIC, then we put them up to the next council meeting, if that's allowable to the chair of the ARIC and the chair of this council.
so would you like a recommendation from this meeting to say something similar so that you can then present it to the?
Yeah, I think that would help.
All right, so I think that I would be seeking an amendment to the current resolution to say number 1 is as written, and number 2 was that this council requests the ARIC chairman to ensure that the draft minutes of the of ARIC meetings are
Forwarded to the
forwarded to
general
the
manager
general
of-
manager of the council as soon as possible after the meeting has been held, in order that they can be circulated to council members for consideration at the next council meeting.
It's practical.
Is that what you're both inferring? Or saying? All right,
Yeah,
so I'm putting that as two. Can I have someone to second my member, right, Member Leslie, I think you've spoken on some probably more appropriate. Member Leslie, thank you. Any further discussion on that?
Just going to ask a question. Were there any questions out of the February meeting that has anyone has got that I can try and answer?
What we really want to know is there anything questions that arise out of the May meeting?
I don't have the minutes to.
No,
That's right.
I do have the minutes, but you don't have the minutes to then ask questions out of, so hence why we're trying to make a solution to that. And the meeting we just had, there was very little business besides work health and safety plan, which, as your delegate, I've actually made some suggestions, which I'll come back to the general manager on some potential changes to the work health and safety plan. I think some of it was missing. So that was the only major thing that we discussed very briefly at the meeting earlier this week.
Thank you. No further issues. All in favour of the resolution, the recommendations in two parts. Thank you. Unanimous. We now go to QBRS 6.2.1. It's the QBRS for the first quarter of 2023-24. The recommendation is that council adopt the recommended changes detailed in the QBRS, which was circulated in the minutes. Proposer, please. Member Reynolds, seconder. Member O'Connor, thank you. Discussion on this, please. Yes, Member Reynolds.
Just ask through you to the general manager, he may delegate, as in the financial position at the end of the quarter, how would you sum up where we're tracking financially?
Member Reynolds, I'd ask Lisa to speak to your question. Thank you very much.
I think that at this stage we are tracking well. Our capital expenditure was above budget as a result of the our change name, our registered business name. So and the further updates to the reception area, and that would that brought about my recommendation to postpone the purchase of capital of the buggy and trailer for that consideration to be put to next year. Just so that we can afford the change of name updates that we've done. So that includes the signage, furniture, things like that. However, other than that, it seems to be tracking well. There is one more large purchase of extended will come through as an expenditure, which will be uniforms. So the change of name on uniforms. And I'm waiting to get some quotes on that, but I don't know what that will mean any significant changes to the next quarter upcoming.
So if I could, the WH&S equipment we purchased, such as the lifter and the trolley lifter and the pallet lifter, and what was the other one?
Eyewash.
Yeah, they were within the budget.
That's where I think that postponing the buggy and trailer will just offset that. We are hopeful in getting a $5,000, what's it called, another grant? Incentive. Yeah, it's an incentive from state cover, which will help cover the cost of those. The new shelving, the eyewash, and the lifter, the pallet lifter.
Right, so I think they came in at 4,900 something.
Yeah.
From memory. I also have a question, further question, and maybe I thought from discussions at the workshop or earlier that we were considering starting the roadside program in November because the seasonal conditions were favourable, but I note that they're not actually starting in December. So, have a comment on that, please, Chris.
Part of it's the seasonal thing. The other part that's really driving at the moment is the roadside in terms of the traffic control signage and the changes that we made to that, and getting all that documentation squared away before we commence.
Sorry, can you explain that in more detail, please?
So there's been changes that we've been made aware of in terms of our paperwork requirements, training the staff, training the contractors, to make sure that everyone's ticketed and approved.
Yes.
And that we've got the right documentation to actually undertake the works and meet all the requirements.
So does that mean more traffic control, or it just means they have to have done a traffic control course?
A combination of both, so potentially more traffic control in some areas, we've had to undertake courses and training, and there's been a lot of changes to the documentation, paperwork that we've got to complete to undertake the work.
So does that mean our costs of roadside spray are going up because we're going to have to put more physical traffic controllers in place?
Potentially, and
have you calculated what that's going to cost?
we don't know.
Mr. Chairman, the agreement with councils is that the councils will provide the traffic control on request at their cost.
Absolutely, but I'm getting the feeling that whatever the extent the position was, let's say 6 months ago on traffic control has been enhanced, that we may have to use more traffic control than we contemplated from councils and.
This is just finalised discussions with the development of the county council's traffic control plans. We've had to do that in consultation with Bathurst Regional Council because the county council at the moment does not have an officer qualified to actually sign off on those traffic control plans. So we work closely with Bathurst Regional Council, and they've been of great assistance in the drafting of our plans, which will soon be signed off. So that has caused a small delay in the commencement of the program.
Again, seasonal conditions may change over the weekend, but I would have thought if we were able to start the first of November with batteries and things were certainly, plenty of leaf matter, and it was discussed that it was suitable. So, are we certain that we will have all our contractors available 1st of December, or some of them may be on private jobs still?
The limiting factor at the moment is to do with the traffic side of things and being approved to actually be on the roadsides.
So have we got any approved who's completed all of that so far?
It's not just the training of staff and the training of contractors, it's getting the approval from RMSs, it's getting the approval from councils, it's getting approval to actually physically be there. Otherwise, we're operating outside of approval.
So are you confident that we'll obtain all those within 7 days? That's the 1st of December, gentlemen.
Yeah, I understand. The process actually has a turnaround time of Transport for New South Wales. That they have 7 days to actually respond to these requests. So we have not lodged that final report as yet. It'll go in early next week. So the earliest we'd be on the road would be the 2nd.
Right, and we're confident we'll get that approval.
Yeah, we're still working through the process of the documentation.
Can I say, just, gentlemen, I think it's a matter of urgency. We have gone into this agreement with our councils in good faith. They're expecting us that they're providing additional funding for this 3-year program. And the worst thing we can have is we actually can't start the 3-year program because we've been held up with all this approval process.
Yeah, correct. And
so can I ask you to put all necessary means to get this going, please?
That, Mr. Chairman, will occur, yes.
All right, any other discussion on this? Sorry, Member Reynolds.
Yeah, I had a discussion with Transport for New South Wales. I sit on a working group with Transport for New South Wales. We met quarterly with them. And I did bring up roadside spraying as well. And what they were offering to do was when they're doing traffic control, and they only control a small proportion of our roads across the 4 LGAs, but they were of the adage, and it may come through the Macquarie Valley or the regional weeds, so it might be the Central Tablelands weeds group, that they could look at providing, when they're doing traffic control on a section of the highway, for example, because of roadworks or other works, to work in with the local weeds authority about providing that traffic control, particularly on the highways and the major state roads, at the same time, so that we didn't have to actually put any extra bill, and I doubt if Transport for New South Wales would actually provide the traffic control as an extra funding from what they indicated to me, that it was the council's responsibility pretty well beyond the fog line, outside of the table drains, but not for weeds. So weeds in the fog line to the boundary fence with the landholder is the council's responsibility for priority weeds. But they did come back and say that they would be willing to work in with any local authority, and I didn't name Central Tablelands Weeds Authority as the only authority that was statewide, with regard to traffic control on those roads if they were doing other work. So whether it's roadworks or if they're aware that they're going to close or reduce the speed for a particular purpose for a couple of days, we may be able to get a contractor to work in with Transport for New South Wales that does have traffic control.
There's no WHS risk of us likely to spray any of their employees or something? Of course,
I didn't go into that much depth,
Right,
Chair. I was
okay.
more just trying to highlight, as in to see whether there was any working arrangements.
All right, well, maybe you can provide details to general managers so that that can also be something we look at in the future. Once we've got the approvals, and maybe we work with them to see where that can fit. Where
Mr.
the
Chairman,
synergies lie.
the need for these plans was realised when our staff undertook training. Right. And we hadn't been down this path at all. We've never developed traffic control plans for activities on the roadsides in the past. It was our first look at it, and you would not be surprised by the bureaucracy that's around it. And it is quite an unsafe work environment, so it has to be done very carefully. It was the qualification of the person that actually signs off on these plans where we've run into the problem. We thought that the training Chris had undertaken would have allowed him to do it, but that is not the case. And now we're liaising with Bathurst. They've been very helpful, and we just had one small concern about whether or not that council has any authority in signing off a traffic control plan that may not just be applied in the Bathurst Regional Council area, but in other councils area. So there's a couple of complications that we haven't resolved as yet, but we're on them.
So a follow-up supplementary, if I may.
Yes,
As in, my understanding, all traffic management plans have to go back to the council's traffic committee for approval, which has a council representative, Transport for New South Wales police representative. So my assumption is that, and I'm aware my council's one meets in early December for the last time this year, and probably won't be till February. To check whether we need to get those urgently as a late agenda item, as into my one. I don't know about the other councils.
Similar.
Member Reynolds, we're understanding of that for work that's going to be done on the road. In our situation, we're not working on the road. So we've asked the question whether or not the work we're undertaking off the road will require the same approval process through each of the council's traffic committees. We are very hopeful that they do not, because that's just another step, and there's most probably very limited understanding in those committees of what we're undertaking and the work we actually do. So our discussions with Transport for New South Wales at the moment, and that's we're going to keep them there, and this delegate from Bathurst Regional Council is being very helpful to us.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, question. When you say off the road, you're referring to our smaller.
No, sorry.
From the road edge to the fence.
There's two different types of plans. There's one for the highways, and then there's one for the local roads. We have to develop traffic control.
Oh, we've got our traffic
separately.
control plans for the little ones as well.
Correct. Now, what we've done and what we are submitting is a very standard document that can apply. So we have two traffic control plans, one for a highway and one for the rest of the local roads. And then all we have to change on that is the localities in which we're working at that time.
Yeah, you've got the template.
Because the work safe or work control, is that what they call it? The work control agency that provides a lot of those services to councils around the Central Tablelands, they've assisted as well in this process, that they've suggested to us what is the best method for us to utilise. on the highway. It's one of the moving vehicles with a big flashy sign. And as it moves along, the weed sprayers will be able to sort of move along with it without having to have set signs along the highway. On the smaller roads, we're stuck with signage and where that has to be placed. So there's a process there that we previously had not followed, and we're now very aware of it. And we're trying to adopt the correct, compliant traffic control plans.
So they haven't differentiated between, highways and others. They haven't put a subcategory regional roads or anything like that.
So what you have is you have state roads
Yes.
and local roads.
Right, okay, that's it, okay. And the regional roads fall within the state or only highways?
Well, things like, the highways are classed as state, but some of the major roads like Sparta Road, Abercrombie Road, fall under the state road category.
They're regional road, yeah.
There's transport manager and local council manager.
Yeah. But the amount of work that's gone into this has been.
Oh, yeah, I bet. There's some more red tape.
The red tape is unbelievable, and dealing with transport, we have to get permission to be on their road.
That would be one of the only processes that takes 7 days instead of several
And so,
years.
That's once you get the request in.
It'll be in it.
The other drama we have with state roads is that they shut the roads off. You know, there's certain times, it'll be over Christmas break, no one's allowed to be on a state road regardless.
After doing contract work.
There's windows and they shut it down unless it's emergency work.
Just because of the volume of traffic.
Well, they're going to be shutting them down even more because when they bring these wind turbines in, the roads will be shut down as well. For more work.
Not funny.
Not meant to be funny, it's meant to be quite serious.
We've already chaired through our council, they don't shut the road down, they just have a vehicle slowly moving along with them.
He's scaremongering. Look at him.
Is this paperwork to do with the OH&S Act? It is.
Well, it goes all back, basically it all goes back to work on safety. So, you know, the sprayers are protected. You know, cars are provided and trucks are provided with suitable notice, and people have been trained to know how to put the signs out, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, how to conduct traffic control, where it's necessary on the highways, how it's different on the local roads, et cetera, all that sort of stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
I think the surprise to us was the actual need for the individual traffic control plan. We were undertaking the training, thinking that training will get us qualified to do what we do, which is the roadside spraying. And working with the contractors that we have to ensure that there is, you know, they are appropriately trained. So if someone turns up there and asks for their ticket, yes, they've got their ticket to be there. When we found out we had to have these individual traffic control plans and the process around that, that's what slowed us down.
Thank you. Any further? Yes, Member Reynolds.
I ask if we finish this particular issue, can I come back onto the QBRS and ask a couple of questions about it through the General Manager? Firstly, business management program, given that we're probably about over a third of the expenditure, is most of that because of paying for insurance and other things in the first quarter, or is there a major flyout?
I'll again refer to Lisa, thank you very much. Reynolds.
The business management program, yes, insurances are included in this. So we pay for its actuals. So we pay for the full 12 months of insurances, and yeah, in this we should only have used 1 quarter. So it's showing a full 12 months worth of purchasing.
The next question, with regard to the roadside weed control program, have we actually, and this is only up to the end of the first quarter, so that's September, have we actually invoiced the councils or charged the councils yet for the roadside program that we were just discussing before?
No, that's in the notes.
So we have. But have we, since the end of this report, that's what I was more, have we progressed yet to charge the councils?
We have not, but we now can. And it was this week that we finalised those agreements with each of the 4 councils, and it's just now that we are able to raise those invoices. And Lisa will be attending those very shortly.
And my final question, if I may, Chair, with regard to the Weed Action Program funding, have we actually had any indication yet of what assistance we are actually going to receive in that grant funding for weed control from the state government?
I think the note speaks for itself. It's not yet been received, nor it is known as to when it will be received.
That was the end of the quarter.
Yep.
We are now 2 months on.
Same,
So there, no,
same note, Dan.
thank you. No, just that we're 2 months on to the end of the quarter.
I had one quick one, the landholder support program.
Yep.
Our budgeted amount for, first quarter was 103,000, when our actuals are 1,386.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened there.
I mean, that's quite a,
What
you know,
potentially could have happened is the previous aerial spraying payment has been received and put
Okay.
into this current year by accident.
okay.
I'll take that though. Thank you.
Because this, and under the expenses, it's in one, you know, we've
That is
87,000 and 11,000.
That is a true cost.
Right.
So what's happening is, and I've sort of made a note on this one, so
Did you? Huh?
preparation of the aerial spraying program has begun. Yeah, so with our program assistant, he has begun mapping, and he began that pretty much in 1st of July.
So that's the 11,000.
That's the 11,000, and further to that would be advertising costs. So things like we've purchased call flute signs, we've sent out SMSs, so bulk SMSing, which although all small costs, they all seem to add up.
But we budgeted 87,000 expenses.
That's for the quarter. Yeah, then just put that out over the 12 months. That's just a 12. That's a quarter of.
So it's dividing the 350,000 by 4.
Yes, and so but seasonally, it would be difficult to tell how much we could. How much that would
All right,
actually
the third quarter will obviously be much larger.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, that's right. Yes.
After we've done it, right. No, understood. Thank you for that
Can
explanation.
I just add one more thing? Sorry. So I requested there 2 things. So with the We Bite Security Compliance Program, that we increase our budget by another $10,000 as a result of upping the security for our IT. It's a necessary update, I think, to keep our IT secure. And it should hopefully also help boys in the field at the same time. So we've been quoted through our contractor, and it's coming just a little bit more, and I was hoping to up that budget. And again, the postponement of the expenditure on the capital item should help our cash by making an adjustment. And also, I made an error at end of financial year. I should have put across the actual money received from the payment of fines into our biosecurity enforcement fund, internally restricted funds. I did not, and I was wondering if I could update that, please, by the $26,000 cash we have received for fines that have been paid, not receivables, actuals.
So do we need recommendations on those two?
Well, no, because they are the recommendations within the QBRS. They are already sitting there.
Yes,
The
I've seen them,
recommendation
yeah.
is that we make those recommended changes as detailed within. Is that okay?
How much customer data do we retain?
For which?
Or the whole organisation?
Mainly for aerial spraying, we try to keep as much as we can. And then only a little bit for over the counter. Otherwise not much. Most of the time when looking for people's data, we will look locally, but then we'll go to our constituent council's rates database for any kind of contact details.
Yeah, so we have access to various portals that give us extended data.
No, we don't. No, we have to have a specific request, and sometimes it's difficult to get past the confidentiality. We have to prove who we are every time, which is fair enough, which is good. It means that the constituent councils are keeping their data safe, but it is a lengthy process to try and draw.
Yeah, so given that format you're asking for, it's only just really basic, cybersecurity upgrades that you're asking for.
Yes.
Yeah, the minimum, yeah, sure. was gonna say, a lot of them are costing a lot of money for constituent councils that actually host data, a lot of data, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. In terms of our GIS system holds the most amount of landholder data, and it's protected in many different ways already, but this will just update the mobile devices from which the boys worked on.
All right, Member Reynolds.
One further question. I noticed in the capital expenditure, the proposed buggy and trailer, which were the one unit together, have been withdrawn. Could we have an update on why a decision or what the decision is to withdraw?
That's the recommendation.
We just discussed that
Oh,
because
sorry.
we've moved them out to the next year on the basis that we've had further expenditure on WH&S issues, the change of name and et cetera. Yeah.
It's only part of the recommendation. It will only move to the actual revised budget once it's adopted. Otherwise, we can scrap it and we can still put it this year. Does that answer the question?
Do you want to keep it in this budget?
Well, I'm asking the question, do we need it? Have the staff actually had a discussion and determined whether it's required or not? A buggy for the authority, given that it was put into the budget back April of this year to provide that as an extra bit of equipment. So is there a response from the staff? Is there a need or not?
So there has been plenty of discussion around the buggy trailer idea. The concept has been welcomed by the staff. We were at a point of discussing WHS issues. However, looking at the rest of the busyness for the rest of this financial year, we don't think that we can probably go into the research of purchasing and training and everything else that goes with the buggy and trailer. And that's why we're going to postpone the idea, not cancel the idea, but postpone the idea for this year. Only because of the timing and trying to get across all of it between roadside spraying now taking up extra time in trying to prepare. Aerial spraying, we're now going into our busiest season for re-inspections. I don't think we're going to get the time to do it, and to free up that cash rather than holding it for a capital purchase, it would be better spent on increasing our IT security and upping our reserves in the biosecurity prosecution fund that we have internally restricted. Does that help?
Yeah, just getting your priorities right.
I'm sorry.
Just getting the priorities.
No, there has had to have been a reprioritisation of resources and other capital items requiring expenditure.
But we do have the cash.
Yeah.
It wasn't an issue from a cash point of view. It's more,
Understood, but
if it's not needed this financial year, and I use the word need,
yes.
in that we happy to defer, and I'm just asking if the staff saw it as a need.
The discussion with the staff, there wasn't a 100% support behind it. Because you saw today some of the types of terrain that we're having to get through. So the use of the buggy and trailer would have had some limitations around it. So I think we wanted some more time to consider that, whether it is a wise investment. Also about how it's deployed. The three staff wanting it at the same time.
And also its storage. So our chemical shed is at its max capacity already without adding.
We just had some unresolved issues there.
Yeah.
We're pushing it to next year, and there's no objection from the staff
Yeah,
pushing
no
it out
objection.
one.
All right. There are no further comments. I'll put the recommendation. All in favour?
All right.
Yeah.
To page 14.
Investment report, August 2023.
Investment report, sorry.
16 now.
Yes, okay, sorry. 622, investment report August 2023. The recommendation is that the council notes the report. Can I move, please? Member O'Connor, Member Ewan, thank you. Discussion on this? Yes, Member Reynolds.
I have a couple of challenges here with this, and I'll only say this once because there's 3 reports that are up. I think we have an overdraft that we had in this month, $553,000 that was earning zero interest. We need to actually manage our money better. As in, we implemented an investment policy over a year ago. I know that some of that money was used in later months, but I know in my constituent council that we have an account that's earning around about 4% that's at call. As in, that money we can get straight away from Commonwealth Bank at around about 4%, 3.95, I think it is, percent interest. We can get that immediately. When you're talking $500,000 for this small entity, that's quite substantial loss of income. And I think we need to urgently investigate how we can better manage our money. And I don't think an overdraft is possibly the best way to go. Or we have a very small amount of money in our overdraft. We have some money in this, I think it's 1 month notification account. And we get rid of this cash reserve account unless it is providing, if we put $500,000 in, it's providing 3 or 4% interest, and actually create an account that is actually providing a reasonable amount of interest because it is costing, and every $5,000 or $10,000 is a lot for this entity, and we're losing that. So I'd just like to highlight that.
Yeah, and my question following on from that is, why is it called an overdraft? We're actually thinking we're going to raise an overdraft.
It has the
Capacity.
The capacity of an overdraft of $50,000.
Right. Do we need that capacity with the current reserves?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm qualified to answer that one.
And if we were to have zero in this account, and we were to have another, and to put that say 500,000 into a bank bill over 30 days.
I think, so the reason why you're seeing so much here is when the invoices went out to our constituent councils, we received them all in bulk, but we also then made the decision to buy bulk Tussock herbicide spray. And so it was kept there, because if I sent it away to a higher earning account, like the 31-day notice saver, then I wouldn't be able to pull it. And I had terms on that Tussock account of 7 days. And so I wouldn't be able to pull it out in time. So I understand the need for a working account that does earn a higher interest rate. But I am concerned that if I spend my time researching banking markets, then other things won't get done. So if we could potentially find something that is a higher interest earner that doesn't take much time to manage, then that would be the better option rather than continually monitoring the market to try and invest.
So can I ask a quick question on that one? I noticed it dropped to 226,000 in October, and that's topic called a couple of reports. Is there any requirement in that overdraft account to have more than a minimal amount in it? Do we have to have $1,000 or something?
Well, so in that overdraft account is our daily working account, and so if that's why I try and again, a cash flow budget would be quite helpful. I know, but when we make decisions to buy large purchases of chemical and things like that, or if I know things that are about to go out, I hang on to it into that working account, because setting it off, closing it up into the 31-day notice saver, I can't access it fast enough to pay the bill.
So what's a reasonable account, a reasonable balance in the account then would you determine?
Well, I always thought about 100 to 150 is what I would have thought. And that does, the pays, and then the accounts payable, member pays, things like that. Yeah, about 100 to 150, I would have thought, in a working account. So again, I'm happy to change accounts to another working account that I can easily access and draw from.
Well, I think it's, I know times is premium, but I'm just wondering if Westpac is that Westpac has a working account which at least pays some interest.
Agreed.
And we keep a minimum in the, it's a good idea to keep 50,000 overdraft, but if we've got, the agreement is we've got to keep $5,000 in it or something, keep 5,000, use the other one as your working account, and just pull.
I understand.
Sorry, yes, member.
Mr. Chairman, just Lisa was mentioning that the difficulty of researching the market. Our constituent councils do this all the time, don't they? We've probably got 20 or 30 of these. Are our financial people accessible to Lisa?
They are, but I think whatever happens, Lisa, if we were entering the bank bill market, we'd be having to look at comparing banks and their 30-day rates, their 60-day rates, 90-day rates, and I think that's what Lisa's saying. She doesn't have time to do that. So I think the alternative is to get a working account that pays some interest rather than no interest. And I'm not sure what Westpac has in that regard.
I can investigate and I can perhaps get the assistance of Councillor Reynolds to maybe bounce off.
Well, I could ring them to the banks, but yeah.
No, just so I can talk to someone about, you know, I just
So
don't have qualifications in this area.
Well, I'm saying if you've got to do the bank bill thing, is write a research, because you got to compare the rates from the banks and see what the 30-day, 60-day, and you don't have time to do that. So the alternative is to go to a working account.
Yeah.
Which pays, you know, a rate, and it goes up when, you know, Reserve Bank lifts its interest rate, they sometimes lift interest rates. And that's, I think, preferable to earning no interest.
If we change accounts, do I need to have?
Change of signatories.
Yes, and do I also need to have it approved or adopted or endorsed by council to move to that account?
I mean, what is in our investment policies, I suppose, is that it should be covered. We'll have a look at the investment policy. I'm happy to, in the sake of time, happy to.
Well, can we investigate it? Yes, and if Member Reynolds, you can assist, please.
Yeah.
Because I'm just looking at my council, which the business paper for earlier this week, Commonwealth Bank balance for the general account is 3.95%, and for the call account is 4.1% at the moment.
So if we're getting 3.95, that'd be better than zero.
But it may be less because that's 3.1 million in the general account and 2.8 million in the call account. So, but it's just better than zero, which is.
Well, if it's 3.9, it might be 3%. 3% is better than nothing.
Absolutely.
All right, and I think we try and keep it with the same bank so that we don't have to go floating around with different signatories, etc. And that makes it simple. They've already got records on file. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on this, please? All in favour?
All right.
Right, we move to 6.2.3, sorry, which is the investment report for September 2023. The recommendations, council notes the report. Can we move it, please? Member O'Connor. Member Reynolds, thank you. Any discussion on this? All in favour of this recommendation? Thank you. We move to number 6.2.4, the investment report for October 2023. Can we move it, please? Member O'Connor, Member Reynolds, thank you. Any discussion on this report? All in favour? Thank you, unanimous. Right, 6.3.1, human resources, work health and safety. The recommendation is that council notes the report. Can we move it, please? Member Fry, Member O'Connor, thank you. A discussion on this, please.
Mr. Chairman, could I just make a comment?
Yes,
on this report? The work health safety incident reports and near misses. I have not included two incidents involving our motor vehicle striking a kangaroo. They come under our motor vehicle claims. So not to confuse you, we've had two incidents striking a kangaroo, same motor vehicle, same road. But we have not had any work health safety incidents or near misses reported to us. There's a sort of distinction of where those two things fit.
Okay, same kangaroo.
Same vehicle, same kangaroo.
Put it in reverse. But the first kangaroo, unfortunately, didn't survive the incident.
No, that was the second one.
Oh, that was the second kangaroo.
Yeah.
It was the same driver.
Same one as the first.
So did we get the vehicle repaired twice, or it was all done one hit?
One hit.
I'm sorry.
Two hits,
Two
one
repair.
repair. Thank you. All right. No point noted. Now, can I ask this? The third one, fire extinguisher inspection. So it's been identified that we need fire extinguishers in every vehicle. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And we costed that?
Done, sorted,
All sorted. Okay.
they're on.
Member Reynolds?
I'm just going to highlight something I mentioned earlier, WHS action plan, which came up at the audit risk improvement committee meeting. I will send through to the general manager some comments about the plan for update. And it may, general region, that may want to bring it back to council just to have a final look at it. Or back to Eric.
All in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. Moving to item 7, landholder support program. 7.1 is the aerial spraying program, autumn 2024. The recommendation is that council makes the update report on the upcoming autumn 2024 aerial spraying program. Member please, Member Fry, Member O'Connor, thank you. Discussion on this matter, members? Yes, Member Reynolds.
A question on the serrated tussock program, given now the availability of propionate, but at a much higher cost. What has been the response from landholders to a substantial increase in the chemical cost plus a higher cost for the new operator?
I think it's commented there, isn't it?
Says that there's interest, but
Feedback from landholders, the increased cost of spray money for serrated tussock and the effect of reduced income money from livestock is affecting their budgets.
so are we going to, well, I suppose it's supplementary, are we going to use the material that we bought, or are we going to have a lot sitting in the shed? That's the crux of it.
Through the Chief Biosecurity Officer. Thank you.
Yeah, so in terms of interested parties, we have 64 landowners interested at this point in time. So some have been mapped, some are still to be mapped. That's about the same as normal. Normally we float around that sort of 50 to 70 sort of mark. But it is the sheer cost of the tussock spray that has greatly impacted on that, in terms of a lot of people have decided if they are going to do it, they're doing a greatly reduced amount compared to what, so they're still spending the same amount of money, but unfortunately they can't get the hectares covered because of the increased cost.
So of the 64, how many are serrated tussock? Right, okay.
But yeah, there still is interest coming in. Our programs assistant is continuing mapping at the moment, trying to work his way through them. The other thing at the moment is he's got a lot of properties where people put their hand up and said they're interested. And it's not until he maps it that we know how much they're actually looking at. So those numbers haven't been added to the 170, oh, sorry, 170, the 230 yet, because we don't know if they're talking how much land exactly until they map. But part of that conversation with the landowner is they need to know that so they can then work out, once they know the area, they can work out the cost, and then they can say, yes, we can afford that, or no, we can do half of that, or what. So
May I add to that as well? Sorry, just in response to the sale of tussock herbicide, it is actually being sold over the counter as well, and it's a steady interest. We're getting lots of phone calls about how much does it cost and whether or not we're competitive within our area, and the answer is yes, apparently we are, and that's only the feedback that I've heard. And so yes, it is still being sold over the counter as well as the interest through aerial spraying, and it's a steady rate. It's nowhere near as fast a sale as Task Force was.
Well, the feedback you're getting is that they're coming and buying.
Exactly. It's just
So they're doing the feedback for you. They're doing the research for you.
It's not going as fast as.
Sorry, you go.
I was just saying about they're still coming in, but where they would have bought 2 or 3 drums before, they're only full to buy one now. You know what I mean? So they're sort of buying one, going off using that, and then sort of coming back again rather than buying a couple in one go.
So in the last paragraph, I'm assuming in the second line, when you talk about GP products, you mean granular product?
Yes.
Granular fluoropropionate.
So on that granular products has stock. So the products has product of stock back in at the moment. So we know that that's been placed out in the area as well.
So, sorry, can you repeat that? So granular product does have granular fluoropropionate available?
Correct.
And it's with Teralga?
That's correct, yes.
So how are they developing their granular? From what source of fluoropropionate?
We have not asked that question.
Have not asked that, okay. And probably Teralga won't tell us either.
And we want to keep our relationship with commercial airlines strong.
Yep.
They work fabulously with the council for many, many years. We don't want to interfere with their operation. We've moved to another contractor, and right at the moment, the relationship is very good. The staff have been briefed that we should, if people want to talk about granular, we refer them to commercial or refer them to rural.
Just back to my original question, Chair. Are we
We were
looking like,
cautious in the purchase.
Yes, Member Reynolds.
Original first.
How much of our existing stock have we sold already? Is that the
or,
question?
or how much are we likely to be holding at the end of this season? I think given the expense, it's quite a large capital outlay.
It is, but we're not up to the area of the program, and we've still got several months ahead. But how much have we sold so far, percentage wise of what we bought? Any idea?
I think it's, we could say possibly half, just under half of our sale file that we had.
We were very cautious in the first purchase.
So is it half we sold already?
No, not the total purchase. The over-the-counter sales.
You had a budget, you sold half of what you thought the budget
No,
would be.
sorry.
Okay.
I'm confusing the situation, sorry.
About 10-15 drums have been sold over the counter.
And how many we get? 50?
200 drums. We have 200 drums, 50 per pallet, 4 pallets.
Yeah.
And we know that one pallet was dedicated to over-the-counter sales. And we know that there's about, I think, 10, 15 have gone off that first pallet over the counter. What's been promised to landowners, I'm not sure. As in, we've been mapped and signed up for the road, I think, I'm not sure.
Right, so we sold 15 out of 200.
Oh, don't quote me on that.
No. Now, of that 230, they're the ones that have sold, sorry, 230 hectares there, so that equates to another. Sorry. 46 drums worth approximately. That is aimed at landowners that are fully mapped and signed and returned their agreements to us. There's still the other balance of landowners that still need to map, sign agreements and all that, so that will make a
Sorry,
difference to us.
doesn't that 230 hectares equate to 23 drums? I thought the drum, how much are you putting it out at? Yeah, I know, but how many drums are you putting out?
So a drum does 5 hectares.
Right, I thought you did 10 hectares, right, 5 hectares, okay, 46 drums.
And I suppose based on that information, that's why we're finding it difficult to forecast to Councillor Reynolds' question. It's difficult to know at this stage what that's going to look like and given the weather as well.
And remembering too that apart from aerial, people will still continue to stray on the ground throughout the year as well.
So we've either sold or have commitments on 63 drums of the 200 at this stage. If you say the 230 is mapped and we've got our landholders locked in, that's 46 drums, and we sold 10 to 15.
Yes.
So yeah, that's
About
right,
that.
about 64.
That's
Rightio.
what we reckon, about that.
Okay, so does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Right, any other discussion? Yes.
Just
Member
one
Roberts.
question. It's not the end of the world if we get left with some drums, I assume.
I don't believe so, because its shelf life is enough for
Yeah.
it to last.
Just
longer.
carry over, yeah.
Yeah, it'll carry over.
The other, sorry, Ken, please, the other thing to remember too is that the company that's bringing it into the country has informed us that they've ceased production overseas. They were doing four production runs of X amount of product, which added up to be 6,000 drums in total to come into the country. Then they were ceasing production until they had enough orders to recommence production again. So we don't know when it's potentially going to start back up over there as well. So having a few drums
Not a
on
bad thing.
hand is not going to be a bad thing.
Okay,
Well, that's what we decided at the beginning when we did it, yeah.
all right, any further discussion? All in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. 8 is the roadside spraying program. It's the recommendation that the council notes the report. Can we move it, please? Member O'Connor, Member Fry, thank you. Discussion on this, Member Reynolds?
Just a question from my observations. some areas that are in the third year already have huge pepper infestations. So is it likely in the third year and in the second year and have adequate funds to do some of these constituent council areas, given the growth and the current size of a lot of the bushes on the roadsides? And that we're looking at potentially another 2 years, so a huge growth.
3 years in the manager.
I don't have the crystal ball to look into there. The decisions that were taken in the development of the strategy over 3 years was based on a 5-year average, and that was made known to all the councils. It was made known to this council that we were just looking at the prior averages, and that's the only data we had to apply to the new program. What we were aiming to achieve is that if we made it clearer and we asked for a greater contribution that would see each council spray all roads once every 3 years, was a very similar expectation that we place on private landholders in the management of their weeds. That's the commonality we sought. We've now got, I can't answer your question about the roads that are sitting in 3, and you are aware that they are a mess now. Yes, they're going to be a much greater mess in the future, because the program does not allow for us to, we're telling the councils that this is the order we're going to spray them. They've agreed with that. So if councils came back to us, Councillor Reynolds, and said, we would like you to reconsider year 2 because of A, B and C, we give that consideration. But I haven't spoken to the constituent councils about that.
Okay. I think on this issue, we've raised the issue of forestry. We're going to look into that.
Yes.
And it's already on the action list. And the situation with the roads, where there's how that fits in with our roadside program, etc. So that was one of the issues, and I think the other issue on the roads is the commencement date, and we've discussed that and the problems with the approvals. Okay, any other business on this or any discussion on this matter? I'll put the recommendation. All in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 9 is the biosecurity compliance. 9.1 biosecurity compliance inspections, and the recommendation is that council notes the report. Can I have a mover, please? Member O'Connor, seconder, please. Member Watt, thank you. A discussion on this, please. I was going to raise a couple of things if I could. I noticed that in July we did 155 inspections, yet for the next 3 months we average 69 per month. I'd like to comment on that. Chris, thank you.
The inspections are what they are. That's what's always inspected. The boys are working towards that. They've also been working on other stuff with their training and other things going at the same time. We've also been gearing up for the aerial side of things in terms of moving down and trying to communicate that side of things as well.
And second issue is that there are 87 of the 209 were first inspections, of which over half were low risk, 52 of 87, and 122 were re-inspections. And I know from another report that we have a considerable number of basically it's the re-inspections that are over 90 days overdue. Some are going back to December 22. Could you comment why we haven't put emphasis on those re-inspections where they're 90 days overdue?
We have put all the boys are focusing on predominantly re-inspections. The vast majority of those re-inspections are inspections that are where we're short one staff member. We now have 3 staff members trying to fill the gap of that missing staff member, and we're trying to catch up on backlog of work that was left over from before.
but we've seen fit to do 87 first inspections, of which 52 of 87 were low risk. So,
But some of those inspections will be next to other high risk properties.
right. And the analysis of the 87 as to which were next to high risk.
That's not provided here in this report at all, Mr. Chairman.
No, I realise that, I'm just asking.
No, that type of analysis has not been done.
Okay,
The
no,
the
fine.
analysis that is
Yeah.
drawn is this report.
Yes.
If you're asking for greater detail in this report, we'd be happy to have a look at that. But again, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to see our staff in the field undertaking inspections and for them to keep up to date with their records, for our system to be able to capture those records, Chris to analyse them and then report on them is, it takes up time.
I understand it, but I just also note the number of, there's quite a few 90 days and over.
Yep.
And I note that there was a point of doing, putting emphasis on the inspections, that was a resolution. Yes.
The other thing too is those 90 days got reduced since the last
report.
Yeah.
Okay, any other discussions to the member else?
you, Chair. We mentioned we're one staff member down. In the QBRS, we saw that we were being remunerated for that staff member's wages because they're on a workers' compensation claim. Has the general manager considered appointing a part-time person or a casual or someone to actually fill in, given that we don't seem to be meeting our targets or getting anywhere close to our targets, and in particular where that staff member had worked, and it's in another report that I can't discuss in this open council meeting, but there seems to be a huge number of backlog of inspections in that LGA. So I'm just asking, has the general manager, given this has dragged on since I think about May of this year, considered some form of appropriate action to actually support the 3 biosecurity officers?
Member Reynolds, yes, we have. Yes, I have. At the moment, we've provided additional hours to the aerial programs mapping. That officer is now working up to full-time hours so that we can achieve that mapping in a faster pace than what was occurring. We have also utilised those funds for the employment of a casual roadside spraying contractor who, as an employee of the council, to assist with the commitment that we've made of $50,000 worth of roadside spraying annually. So that officer comes on board and Chris utilises them. But with those 2 appointments, we're still not utilising the full amount of actual wages savings that is occurring at the moment. So I do have additional resources there that we may be able to deploy.
And Mr. Gentleman, we were hearing a minute ago about, the difficulties with all the paperwork, etc., and with a limited number of inspectors, and we're being one down. We obviously should be looking at more inspection services that we require. Especially in the LGA that has been somewhat neglected, if I could say that.
It takes a while to find a good biosecurity officer, particularly one specialising in weeds. I'm not too sure how many are just rolling around in the countryside that I could grab occasionally.
Might be a few farmers who do.
There might be some farmers
who would like any spare income at the moment. So, possibilities.
Thank you. No comment.
Any further discussion, gentlemen? Sorry, members?
And gentlemen.
All right. All in favour of the recommendation?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Aye.
9.2 is penalty infringement notices. recommendation is that council notes the report. Can I have a mover, please? Member O'Connor. Member Ewan, thank you. Discussion on this, please, members. No? All right, all in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. 9.3 is Mexican feathergrass, and the recommendation is that council notes the report. Mover, please. Member White, Member O'Connor, thank you. So discussion on this matter, yes, Member Reynolds.
I missed it in the report, and I'm aware that we did detect it in 2019 in Lithgow, but is there a reason why it's come up again?
Well, that was my question. What's the action on this?
I was requested by one of the members who took interest in this particular grass when we provided to you the minister's response to a letter, and this is the response to that member's question.
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I was the one who made the inquiry. I'd never heard of it before. But I also made note that in the minister's letter and in other correspondence, they are saying that we should, an important priority for us is emerging threats, and that they are the things that it's by far the most economic to spend the money on. So Mexican feathergrass sounds to me like it's a relation of serrated tussocks in the same group, a bigger plant, no doubt a threat, and to me a priority is being aware of emerging threats.
Yeah. So
That's why I asked the question.
Okay, so can I ask the general manager, our staff trained to recognise Mexican feathergrass if they come upon it?
I'll throw that to Chris, please. Thank you.
Yeah, the staff have been present with the one that we had in the area. Staff were present once we detected that, and then all staff members were involved in that eradication and the programs that all visitors seen it. And now they know about it, and they know how to see it, and then process it through so that we can then deal with it and get it registered in the system.
So one of the things about weeds, I just speak from personal experience, is continual awareness is good. Whether it's what grass, whether it's Chilean native grass, whether people forget after a while. So do we do a sort of annual revamp training to make our officers aware of? Yes, we all know what serrated tussock is. Yes, we all know what blackberry, but the weeds we don't see all the time. We need to be reminded of what it is and what it looks like, I find.
We do where we can. So we've undergone prohibited matter training and that with DPI. The problem we have with some of these plants is with prohibited matter, and therefore they don't exist in the state to begin with, and they can't be brought in the state, and they can't be displayed. So that's why we've undergone some of the training exercises with them to look at that, to see them. But we try to keep the boys up to date with that. That's why we do a lot of those plant ID courses and training exercises too. Because it's not just, as you said, it's not just the ones you've got. It's been able to identify the ones that you haven't got. But that's where the staff argue with that if they do they do see something they don't recognise, they'll get samples, they'll take photos, they'll bring them in, we'll look at them, we'll ask for advice from others, and we try to keep ourselves up to date with what's happening out there.
Just a quick comment on that, Mr. Chairman. Look, I agree, you don't know what every exotic weed looks like, but if you know what 95% of the grasses and plants out there look like, then what's unusual stands out, doesn't it? So you've really got to know the basics. You've got to know what just about everything looks like, so that the odd ones.
That's it. We know the ones we deal with all the time. We know what's what masters are, and as you said, it's those ones that fit out place. They're the ones that we focus in on. Sometimes they turn out to be harmless, and that's great. And sometimes they turn out to be like this, where they're something new.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, can I make one
one comment on that?
Yes, sir.
The county council is very fortunate that the people they've employed have got really good skill here and they do apply themselves and they are interested in it. They use the internet very effectively. They use DPI very effectively in understanding weeds. If they don't have confidence, they talk to their colleagues about it. They go out into the out on the properties and actually identify those plants. So I think they're very fortunate.
I think that's acknowledged by all the members. Any further discussion? Put the recommendation, all in favour? Thank you.
Just on that sort of note, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I'll
Oh,
just
sorry.
pass these around. Do you mind if I just
No,
speak
absolutely.
very
I think
briefly to them?
what has some papers on several weeds that he wants to pass around. They're not in there. I think they're in final draft, but haven't been finalised, so he'd appreciate them back.
That one was work that I did in particular with Mick Willett on Blue Hilly Road, and it's not final, so that's why I'm just passing it
Sure,
around.
there's just the one copy, was there?
Yeah, just the one copy. And I've also just, since I was doing that, I've just written a case report with a final year vet student just on primary photo sensitisation caused by St John's wort. You've all seen that, but we've got a website where we have all these things, so I'll just pass that around as well. But obviously, from my veterinary point of view, you know, weeds like this, pass that to you.
Maybe you could just note in the minutes that this paper, under that item, that these papers were circulated for members' information. And you'll get the names of the you can get the names of the papers from Bruce later.
If I could comment again,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, Lisa and I chatted about that, and I guess, you know, I really enjoyed working with one of your staff members, and he's, you know, remarkably well-placed, knowledgeable, you know, got vast amount of local knowledge, and so we've turned up what I think is an interesting variation in blue heliotrope poisoning in that it damages the kidneys.
Yes,
And presents
and
different.
the St John's wort one on the sheep was interesting too.
Yeah, very severe.
People thought it was worse on cattle, but
That's, yeah, terrible. And we've seen quite a bit at the moment. So thank you.
It takes over the paddocks too, it takes over the helio.
Blue heliotrope.
Yeah,
Terrible, out on the Ophir Road particularly.
that's where I am, yeah, that's,
There's paddocks there that are just dominated by blue heliotrope, so,
it likes that granite country.
yes, yeah.
Blue heliotrope's a big focus of some of the local land services campaigns in the past, isn't it?
and at the present.
I
I got something about the other day.
I was part of a $30,000 communications campaign that we rolled out through my agency about it, and I remember it was only a couple of years ago, but
Yeah.
in the No Space for Weeds campaign, I think.
Yeah, because it's a real emerging weed.
Massively, yeah. And like you said, the economy, the value for money in tackling emerging is higher value than
Yeah,
like some of
Return
the
on
properties
investment.
we've seen. Right?
return on investment far
Yeah.
higher.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Chair, can I just add one thing? Notice the TV ad being circulated both from Macquarie and Lachlan weeds areas, and it says another fantastic season, but really is insulting to the community. Can you pass that back through the general manager and the chief biosecurity officer? We should not be running that ad, because a lot of producers are doing it tough. When they see that ad, it looks as though we've got no idea about what the current situation is in agriculture. It should be scrapped immediately, that ad. So can you pass that on, please? I'm very angry with it, as you may detect. I know it's not us as an authority, but
We do contribute toward it though, Bruce.
yes.
Yes, Chief, but Biosecurity Officer, you
No,
can
that's
comment?
right, that's right. I was going to say, is that the one through the Macquarie Lachlan?
Yes, if you can pass that on, it's badly worded.
Yeah, probably this should have been raised before, anyway, that's right. Set 9.4. Yes, we made that recommendation, for discussion about the papers as following. Set 9.4, Central Tablelands Regional Weeds Committee meeting minutes of 16th of August 2023. The recommendation is that council notes the report. Member Reynolds and Member O'Connor, any discussion on this one? Any further comment by the Chief Fire Security Officer? Other than what's been stated? No? Okay, all in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. We move to item 10, other matters. First is 10.1 is the County Council meeting schedule, and they are meeting for 2024. Noting that there is an election in September, I think it is 24.
Yep. September.
So that the delegates from our respective councils may change.
Can I just note there that the August 23rd meeting, we would be in caretaker mode.
Yeah.
The councils would be in caretaker mode, so question whether we should or shouldn't have that meeting.
Excellent question. Sorry, may I just add to that? So I too was trying to line up these dates with our statutory requirements, particularly on financial statements. And this is what we've done in the past when there hasn't been an election, is that we've held a meeting in August to put up the financial statements. But can the council endorse the financial statements to be signed off, considering that they are a significant paper that will be audited by the auditor of New South Wales?
But they are for the financial year in which the members of this organisation were in place.
But if you're in caretaker mode,
We have no delegated authority under our
So
constituent
can
councils.
we bring it back to July?
Oh.
What date's the election?
10th of September.
So we have to be before the 10th of August, don't we?
Okay. Sure. And don't forget, we're working with a new auditor, as in, it's not that so we're not going to know how fast. We don't even have a timetable yet for our audit schedule.
So can I suggest that in the email that our general manager sends to the audit office, they also say, and our auditors in a timely way approve that we're able to review and approve our accounts in a period of 2 weeks.
But hang on, wait. I've got to actually get the accounts done in a timely way. To be able to do that is dependent on them learning how we work here, because if it was the previous contractor, they already know how we work. But this is a person that has to learn a brand new council from scratch, basically. And so that timing may be very much thrown.
I know, but it's probably not fair to leave a new council or new council to approve accounts for the previous year, which they have very little knowledge about.
Sorry, I've just checked. It's the 14th of September.
The elections?
Yeah.
So prior to 14th of August. All right, well, we can only do our best. Maybe we schedule it for what's the 23rd minus 7th, the 16th. August. To come back another 7 days, we're getting to the 9th, and that's probably not good, is it?
It will be very trying, but I could always try. I can have a crack and give it a go and see where we end up. But it's yeah.
Well, let's schedule it for the 9th on the basis that we put in brackets TBC.
The response to the email that I sent, we could share that with you and we'll just see.
So I'd put, if I could, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th day, which is 20th, I'd put 9th of August to 24, but I'll put in brackets TBC. Yeah. Is that all right? It's the best we can probably do, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too. I don't know what else to do.
All right, with that change to the recommendation, do we have, are the mover and the seconder happy with that change to the recommendation? Did we put the recommendation? We did, didn't we? Yeah.
I didn't.
All right, well, I don't think there's a mover and seconder there. Okay, fine. So the recommendation is that council adopts the proposed meeting schedule and the recommendation information has changed. So the 5th line is changed from 23rd August 2024 to 9th of August 2024. And in brackets TBC, meaning to be confirmed, bracket. With that change, move it please. Reynolds, member Reynolds and member Watt. Any further discussion on the meeting schedule? All in favour? Aye. 10.2 is council Christmas closure. The recommendation is council adopt proposed council closure dates of Friday 4 p.m. 22nd of December 2023 and reopens on Monday 8 a.m. 8th of January 2024. Move it please. Member O'Connor, member Fry, thank you. Is that your hand up?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this? If not, I put the recommendation. All in favour? Aye. Right, 10.3 is the serrated tussock workshop. The recommendation is that council notes the report. Move it please, Reynolds and Fry. Thank you. Discussion on this? I can't remember who attended, but I think most of us attended, didn't we?
Remember what was travelling.
Was, but didn't he come in part-time on the phone or something, on the serrated tussock workshop?
No, he's an expert, he didn't need.
Thank you.
He had a shoulder that was heading north.
That's right, he was, yes.
Had a shoulder heading north with his wife.
I think that's a reasonably good summary. So, Member Reynolds, was that a comment or? No, sorry. All in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. We move to 10.4. Weed County Council's meeting back this 26th of October 2023. The recommendation is that council notes the report. Move it please. Member Fry and Member O'Connor. I might ask the General Manager to give us an update, and I will say that thank you very much to the General Manager and Lisa for organising what was a very successful meeting, I would have to say.
The update, which is, I think, good news, that the county councils are very keen to form this network, and that collaboration has already commenced. We've had 3 discussions on the telephone around common issues, and a lot of those relate directly to some of the matters that have been raised here this evening. That gives me good support. I'm now working with the general managers of their councils to introduce Lisa and Chris to start some collegial work with those county councils as well. So I believe it's going to be of benefit to us in many ways, is having this relationship. And the further good news is that the 4 councils that wish to utilise our compliance system have now resolved to actually commence on the 1st of July next year, with an implementation commencing in February of next year. So that was an agreement that is now with them, and it has to go to their councils. I've asked our chairman to make himself available to those councils if you may remotely join them if they want to have a discussion. Now, can I just say, just today, the Natural Resources Commission has contacted the council, and they're very interested in this council's actions in introducing a general biosecurity direction to certain agencies when the Biosecurity Act was first introduced. And they're challenging us to say, what legal advice did we receive in doing that? What thinking did you apply? And did we give consideration to the procedures that the Department of Primary Industries adopted at that time? So we are capturing attention. The Natural Resources Commission attended this meeting of the county councils. They took advantage of us because we're all in the one room, and they questioned us at length. And I think that again is another, I think, advantage to Weeds in New South Wales to have these county councils now having a voice, and some of the agencies approaching. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I would just like to say that not only was, I think we were giving information to the county councils, but, you know, we learned a lot, especially I think from Hawkesbury, surprisingly, and Rouse county councils contributed a hell of a lot to the meeting and provided us with some really interesting insights in how they do things and different ways of doing things. I found the general, the information from the general manager of Hawkesbury and Rouse particularly interesting, and they're certainly very enthusiastic. I mean, Castle Road was nearly falling over and said, "When can I sign the agreement?" So it was a very two-way. So I think we've got a lot to learn. Rouse is a huge organisation, as the general manager knows, huge, and they've got a lot of resources because they deal with water and other things as well. And the way they do business is interesting, as is Hawkesbury in particular, those two, I thought. All right, all in favour of the recommendation? Thank you. 10.5 is correspondence. the recommendation is the council notes the correspondence received from Minister Moriarty dated 11th October 2023 in response to the council's motion at the local government New South Wales 2023, is it? And consider whether further clarification.
Last year.
2022.
That's what we meant.
Okay. And consider whether further clarification is required. Can you move it, please? Member Fry, Member O'Connor, thank you. And the discussion on this, please. And we do have to consider whether further, we have to go back to the minister to seek further clarification and response.
Yep, we do.
It was a little
Political, isn't it? Or vague?
I think,
Yeah.
what captured our attention in the management team here at the county council was that it was in some ways threatening to say that what we want you to focus on are things that are not here now, and that gave such great emphasis to the benefit of that, that it would appear that maybe our direction is wrong. I think this is an opportunity for this council to go back and talk about our system of work and why we do it this way. Because if when I shared this with the team, they were quite upset by it because all their effort is going into asset protection type weeds on the Central Tablelands in New South Wales. Before this meeting today, you would have seen a few presentations that some of the staff provided, which was some photographs they'd taken of the types of properties and things they're dealing with. So we were anticipating that the council may wish to respond and to actually put our case to the minister, so the minister is understanding. The other thing that has occurred is that the other matter, the biosecurity fund, which the chairman took to the State Weeds Committee, is that they've published in this the response of the State Weeds Committee. We've been able to find out that the actual representatives that were at that are very disappointed that this record is now public. And they are claiming a different version of events at that meeting than what has been actually published here. So I think what we're seeing is that this is the minister's view, and I think we've got an opposing view to the minister. So I'd be suggesting, Mr. Chairman, that we should be drafting some type of response.
Yes, I agree.
On both matters, WAP and the prosecution fund.
Yes, Member.
Chairman, could I just comment on that? I can understand where it's coming from, but I can also understand why you and your staff are offended. My view would be that you should agree with the minister that looking at emerging weeds is a serious issue.
Yes. Explaining how we already engage.
Well, but if you've got staff out in the field all the time, they are automatically doing that.
Yes.
So my gut feeling would be that you say, yes, we agree that's really important. It's a really important part of our role when we're out there in the field all the time, dealing with the major weeds that are causing economic loss, but we are also constantly on the alert for emerging weeds. That would be why I would tweak it, because if I was approaching this as a biosecurity person from completely outside, as I mentioned, and we all know, you get the best bang for your buck by
capturing something
early. But we're the same in LLS. I mean, we spend our time running around looking at, say, worms in sheep, but what we're really concerned about is foot and mouth disease. But we only do that by getting out there all the time. So I think you can
acknowledge.
if I was writing a letter, I'd spin it different.
And we're always training our staff on new and emerging threats,
Absolutely.
new and emerging, as you said.
But you've got to do your day job. You can't be just driving around the countryside looking for new and emerging diseases.
And we've got the evidence that we're doing that with the Lithgow feathergrass
Mexican.
example.
Exactly.
I didn't know it was called the Lithgow.
Yeah, well, we're very
Sorry.
happy.
All right, Member Reynolds, you got something?
Chief Biosecurity Officer.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, yeah, agree with. I don't know why, wholeheartedly, like, I think that's where us and the staff took offence to it, is the fact that we're dealing with this, widespread stuff day to day, that's our bread and butter, that's what we're trying to help them with. In the course of doing that, we're keeping an eye out for anything else. If we
Absolutely,
find
that
anything-
point needs to be made.
Yeah, and if we find anything else like the grass or pumpkin or weed or whatever off the top roof, our day-to-day stuff comes to an immediate halt.
Yes.
And we jump on that and deal with that, it's all bells and whistles and everybody in, then we go back to our day-to-day.
But your day-to-day job is keeping your eyes open
That's it.
as well.
So, Mr. Chair, may I now
Yes, Member Reynolds.
mention, the second last dot point, the minister's letter is probably the biggest concern, which reads the disparity between the weeds targeted by local control authorities for regulatory action with many targeted weeds that are already widespread across the landscape beyond eradication, which require costly annual control and maintenance. One could potentially indicate out of that the minister is looking at the Biosecurity Act and rewriting or sections of the Biosecurity Act on an interpretation of they're beyond control, so let them rip. It's potential interpretation.
I don't
That's,
remember that.
so,
Sorry.
yeah, that's one of
Two
the
letters.
parts with the highlight here that.
All right, can I suggest that, the general manager and also involved, that we prepare a draft response and circulate to the minister for comment?
I think I missed some of that.
All right, so what we will do is we'll circulate the draft response and we'll circulate the letter
Well, that's
again.
already
So you
just
have both. Yeah, and if you can provide,
That's the second.
for those
There were
who
two
do track
letters.
changes
Two
shows
responses.
you want,
There's a
or
res-
put bubbles
There's
in
a
the
response for
comments.
that one,
Bubbles
and
in
there's a
the
response further down. There's another response further down.
So what weeds would he be saying are rampant?
There's the one funding it.
All right,
There was the one-
so can I have,
There was an earlier one.
someone to move that, we've moved the recommendation, seconded, and we, please, yes, all in favour of
Two
the
separate.
recommendation, thank you. And we
So
maybe
follows.
should note the responses going and, yeah. Fine. Item 11, notice of motion, there are no notice of motions. We now have the confidential reports. Council notes in accordance with section 928 of the Local Government Act 98, the general manager's opinion that the business on the agenda designated confidential should be dealt with in part of the meeting close to the media in public. In further accordance with section 10B1 of the Act, it is considered the discussion of businesses in open meeting or on balance be contrary to the public interest. Can I have someone therefore to move us into closed committee of the whole to review the following confidential items? Confidential item matters in progress. Item 12, 13, force be undertake control works. 14, take court proceedings to enforce the direction. 15, prosecution cases update. 16, property inspection of August, September and October 2023. Mover please. Member Brian, Member O'Connor. All in favour of moving into closed committee for the confidential matters. Thank you. Recommend. We're back in open session and I'll comment on the confidential matters as well. Item 12, confidential matters in progress. The council noted the report from the general manager. Item 13, forcibly undertake control works. The council authorises the CTWA to undertake the control work on the property as outlined in the report. Item 14, take court proceedings to enforce the direction. The council authorises CTWA to commence court proceedings to enforce the biosecurity direction, the subject of the report. Item 15, prosecution cases update. Council noted the report. Property inspection report for August, September, and October 2023, which was item 16. Council noted the report. Thank you, everyone. And the next meeting, sorry.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Very quick question on next year's meetings. Do we know when any of those will be held
Yeah.
other than here?
Where?
Our plan is here
For all meetings?
for all meetings as a result of, we were all in agreement, I think, a meeting or two ago, that there was, it was much easier to be held just here, but
And the second question is, the 12th of April workshop, there'll be a meeting after that, and what was the intention of the workshop? What we,
Financial.
Financial.
and was the intention to have a meeting after that,
no,
No.
just a workshop?
financial will be.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair.
And you'll note the 23rd of August was changed to the 9th.
Yes, I've got that, thank you.
So the next meeting of the Upper Macquarie Council will be on the 23rd of February 2024 at 2 p.m. at these premises in Kelso. Thank you. I declare the meeting closed at 4:40 p.m. 4:20 p.m. Sorry.
Well,
Thank you for all attendance. Thank you everyone for attendance and any members of the public who are online. Thank
Merry
you.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Sam, you been?